Whew. Okay, well, I hit the red button. Holy moly. Oh. Alright. Hey, I hit the button. Which means we're recording. Huh? Okay, I'm alright. It means that we're recording. We are, in fact, recording again. Welcome to episode 16 of my podcast. Right along with Run Man. I'm Run Man. I welcome you to this podcast. And this is Chronicle 2 of the 16th episode. But before I get too far into the weeds with you, let's begin the actual running, shall we? Woo! Okay. Now, bowel movements are a real thing. They happen. Sometimes they work on your timetable. Sometimes they work across your timetable. Sometimes they work at a series of unpredictable intersections to your timetable. Whoops. I forgot today's garbage day. Doesn't that just shiver me timbers? Well, that's gonna get awkward. Hey, who could be down on a day like today? Oh, you know, I got a little scoot skadoo going on here. I've actually got significant discomfort. Do I really want to run again? I ran for 15 minutes, turned back, ran another 15, got back to my house, used the facilities, and chipper as a squirrel, got the hell out of there. Angling to try this again. I didn't give myself a lot of time to feel into my condition. I thought it might... Okay, I'm going to get this wrong. No, I'm not. I'm going to get it right. It's going to enervate me. Right? On the kid-friendly podcast that I experimented with, on the household-friendly podcast that was, I think that was episode 14. I'll have to go back and remember. But on that episode, we talked about words, and I actually took a moment to be like, oh yeah, that's right. These words that I love so much, that do so much for me, let's bring the youngsters into the fold. So I spelled out the words and gave some description of them with my traditional flair for the fanciful. One of those words was opaque. It's a good word. Can't remember. A caveat was another one. Today, since part 1 was not kid-friendly of today, I dropped some F-bombs, if I remember correctly. Well, shiza, you know? Even though it's not, let's just do that word really quick. Because I might have it backwards, but I think I'm right. So, if you're never sure... Woo, the crick! So if you're not sure, you can be like me. Put yourself out there. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Either way, we learned something, right? So follow along with me. Enervate. E-N-N-E-R-V-A-T-E. Enervate. Has a cousin word called innervate. I believe the two are antonyms. Antonyms are things that oppose each other. They are words that oppose each other, right? They mean the opposite. I think that's what that means. Enervate with an E, I believe that means to sap the energy from a system. If I have been enervated by our conversation, that means that you've used up a lot of my freaking bandwidth and back off. Let's just sit quietly for a minute. Right? Innervate. And then, the rest of the way that enervate is spelled. Innervate, I'm going to be lazy with that, is getting supercharged. I've got more energy. Now, it occurs to me, there's probably a specific context for those words, because we have 1,000 words for similar things. I wonder when those words came along. Because supercharge works. Juice up works. Motivate works. Different contexts, different things. Okay. When is innervate the right word? I don't know. Sounds a bit like an engineering term. Sounds like somebody with a really big head thought of that. With a bunch of jangling lit light bulbs up in the brain pan. Electricians or something. Engineers. We like our electricians, and we like our engineers. You know what else we like? Different sorts of types of runs. This is already one, because I broke it up through necessity. Still, we can make it different even a little bit more still. How are we going to do that? Well, by hitting this button, crossing the street, and showing you a bunch of restaurants that I don't really like to eat at that much, but occasionally. And coffee places. Oh boy, where the kids come to play. But I run through. Occasionally I stop by. You know, more of that in the future, but right now the quest is pretty harsh. We're pretty hard lined. I've got a few things that I'm doing that I'm using 90% of my energy for. And outside of that, I can occasionally dabble in things like eating out. None of these places are bad. I've had good meals all along this little area. Good meals, man. I would recommend any of these places. Alright, well, looks like I'm going to divert and go this way. Yep, this is awkward. I'm acknowledging it. Alright, well, clear of that. I'm not, if you know me, you know I'm a peripheral preference type of guy. Y'all know, if you know me, you know I prefer not to be in the spotlight. Outside of specific conditions. I'm aware that I'm bringing you guys along for a ride here. Really, it's more about the ride than about me. We talked before about that. How this is really just a tool. You can use this tool to pleasure yourself if you want to. You can listen and laugh at my folly, or listen and laugh with me as I roar at things that I find hilarious, crack myself up like a half-mad, drunken, desert-bound exile. That's already happened. That's already happened. It's going to happen again, and that's no biggie. We are all good. So, if the service that this provides you is that, fine. There's a lot of things that I watch or listen to that have value, whose value I don't take. At least not 100%. I don't do the homework. I don't, really contemplate. I just enjoy. Other things I try to hang in there with a bit more. I would recommend experimenting with both of those on my podcast. I would recommend you, the viewer, take me seriously once in a while, only if you want to. I would lean more toward the just enjoy this, being out here on a nice day hanging out with Run Man sort of thing. So if that's your jam, cool. This podcast is also, depending on who you are and the way that I show up, this is also meant to inspire, right? What I'm doing right now is not particularly hard. For me, I'm 33. I'm doing okay. I don't see any volleyballs anywhere. Looks like I can't help. Well, no worries. It's covered. As I was saying, this particular thing, this particular moment, not difficult. What's coming is. And I want you, the viewer, because you're a viewer, you're a human. Because you're a human, you've experienced great atrocity, catastrophe, hard work, times when things had to change, times when you resisted things, times when you suffered, times when you had a problem, times when you ran out of time. Well, that's me right now. Coming up, that's me. You understand? Because you've been through that with something in your life, physical, emotional, integral, sexual. Maybe you're just maybe your challenge right now is a more casual challenge, like you're just trying to read a book every month. That's cool. That's not easy either. Books cost. And depending on the books you're reading, might be hard to hang in there with those and keep up. Good on you. That's what I'm talking about, man. Casual or hard. Whatever your challenge is, just know. Just know that I'm doing the same thing out here with running. That's the point. That's the point. That's why I'm here. I'm here for you. You're here for me. If you see me doing this, I hope that it innervates you. I hope that you receive a surplus of energy from listening to these words. I don't anticipate it. I don't expect it. Remember the motto? Low expectations, high morale. That's us. That's us out here on the prairie, making it happen. So far, every day. Most every day. Whew. I outlined my challenge for you, and pretty well, actually, in the last chronicle of this episode. I think I did the best job then that I've done so far in illuminating my challenge. So as you watch me develop my proficiency, heal my joints, fortify my body, lengthen my runs, and ask more and more of my abilities. As you see me do that progressively until I'm doing really high level stuff, which, if the timeline is right, a couple of years, maybe not even a couple of years, maybe not even a year, depending on the trajectory that I don't see yet. But through that time, when you see me doing that, I want you to consider, when you've done that in your life, what you're doing that with right now. And I want to encourage you. I want to inspire you. Because we're really in the same line of work, you and I. Live a few years, be a person, have some fun, make some mistakes, maybe learn something, talk too much, do all the things. Follies and fables. We get a few years, it's follies and fables, then we die. We're all in the same line of work here. And we're all gonna die. But before I die, I take this next step into this one. Just like you are. So, I don't know. Is the premise way more simple and clear than I'm giving it credit for? Probably. I just want to err on the side of you knowing too much, rather than not knowing enough. Yeah. Because I want you to have a good picture of the world that I'm descending into. As far as I'm willing to take you. And I'm not willing to take you everywhere yet. I'm not willing to show you everything yet. I'm not willing to lay out the entire game plan. I think it's going to be a sign that I'm really serious when I do that. I'm not really serious about it right now. Right now, I'm treating these runs the way that I treat everything. Delighted and loose. I'm not sold. I just see it happening, and that's the way that I approach this thing, in such a way as not to be enervated by it. So that's what I'm talking about. As soon as it is an enervating thing to approach y'all with the full game plan, we're going to do it. I promise. I can't wait to be excited about being serious about this. I'm just not there yet. I got a lot of plates spinning right now. I'm not used to this, so we're taking our time. We're treating everything like a cute puppy that we haven't adopted. Play around, have some fun. Maybe I take one home for the long haul. Maybe not. Probably not. It has to be that. Because right now, let's see, what's it called? Is it called the 4 tendencies? I learned something called the 4 tendencies. I should be able to shout out who came up with this or who I learned this from. I'll tell you what. I'll shout out the people that pervade the access. How about that? I'm around some really good people. I can't wait to shout them out. I can't wait to talk to them on this podcast because they're trippy, cool people. Most of them, all of them, I would say, are way further along in their journeys than I am. They've made a lot of ground and they have made a lot of progress. And I look up to them and I hold myself among them. That part's trickier. But at some point, you know, we'll be having more contact with these folks. Maybe, you know. But for now, what I can do is I can shout out the guy who brought some of my ideas right now to me. Some of these great ideas that I'm playing around with, such as the 4 tendencies. His name is Daniel Mangena. Shout out Dan. Dreamer CEO. We are dreaming with our eyes open out here on the prairie, aren't we? Yeah, because he made that material available to me. He and his team, and their teams. He and this infrastructure that's growing and burgeoning as it is in so many other places in the world, and uniting people, bringing them together, bringing them up. We're coming up. If you want to learn more about Dan, just go on YouTube, type him in. Or go on Facebook, check out Dream with Dan group. I think it's private, but you'll probably, I don't know if they're accepting people, but it's a cool group. Yeah, that's a proper shout out, I would say. Now that I've done that, Dan draws his power from a lot of sources. That's a bad way of saying it. These materials that are available to check out and think about and play with, a lot of them are his, a lot of them aren't. This is not one of his, but he brought it to me, so that's the person that I can remember and give some love to. So there it is, Daniel Mangena. Good guy. Now, the 4 tendencies. The reason why I'm playing around with all these things in a loose way is that's the way. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. It's too pretty not to do this. Geez. One of the things that he brought to me, though, was this idea called the 4 tendencies. It's just one of those personality test, archetype, don't take it too seriously things. And if it's useful, use it, and when it's not, don't use it. So if there are 4 tendencies, mine is the one where I tend... Hi. Hey, pup. I tend not to respond well to expectations from other people that are levied onto me. And I tend not to respond well to expectations that I levy upon myself. There's resistance. Both of those. You can be open to those. You can be you can be resistant to those, or it can be a bit more patchworky, and those are the 4 possibilities in the Punnett square. Got it? Well, the name for my tendency is Rebel, which sounds really romantic and sexy and fun. Certainly feels good, except motivating us can be real tricky. But what was given to me when I brought it up and was doing a little bit of research about that, because that feels like me, is the following. If you're the kind of a person who doesn't respond well to levied expectations given from within or without, but you still want to get stuff done, one route to proper motivation that people seem to have found some success with is if you appeal to that person, if you appeal to that person's sense of freedom. If you bring it back to this frees you, this unbinds you, this provides you with the ability to have more options, and this is empowering, all that stuff. So for me, I can do things at the drop of a hat. I can just, like I just did. I decided to run today. I just did. It just so happens I've done that however many days in a row. Took a day or 2 off. Had another week. And it's been mostly like that. It's just mostly running. Just because every day when I come to either my morning or my afternoon or my evening, at some point, typically it's been the afternoon these recent weeks, I've gotten the ping that says, yep, we run now. This is good. And I decide freely. See? And then I think about all the ways that I'm opening the world up to myself by running. I'm scratching really deep itches. Like, how able am I to take care of myself? If you can run a long distance, chances are you can take care of yourself better than the guy who can't. The slow-moving, tired predator gets me last. He gets that guy first. That feels good. Or, hell, as good as we might get, it might be more of a cooperative thing where, yeah, that guy might have made it if I was a little slower, but not only am I stronger and more capable than he, or she, or they, all of them, I can take them in my arms and assist them if they're willing to go the mile and get out of the claw's reach. Then, from the overflow of proficiency, energy, ability, experience, stability that I have, I can then pour a little bit of that love back. And we both might end up making it away from the tired carnivore that can't sprint at us and is playing the long game with the stock. You hear me? That sounds good. Ooh, that sounds good. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna need some really simple food later. Because, ow. Whew, I just wasn't expecting this kind of resistance. I've been eating less times per day, but way denser meals than usual. Good to know. We can moderate things a bit more, and that might really jazz things up. Cool, I'm into that. Okay, well, that's all fine and good. Appealing to the sense of freedom. I could go over the other 3 types, but you know, I've done a few of these things where I lay some serious verbal incision upon these complex strata of material for you guys. We don't need to do that every time. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it. This is not a science webinar. This is not a life coach motivational Tony Robbins style get off your ass and go speech. This is just, oh yeah, I'm running and here's some cool shit that's on my mind. Maybe that should be the name of the podcast. Welcome to Shit on My Mind podcast. That doesn't sound good. Well, we had to sound it out, didn't we? Native American name. Runs with shits. Runs slow like snail and shits. This material. So, it helped me to motivate myself. Easier for me to motivate myself because it just happens to be really easy if it's something that I'm interested in and I get the yes. I'm developing a relationship about when I get the yes, when I get the cosmic and simultaneous gut yes. And I mean gut, I mean it tastes good. And we fly for an hour and a half. It's easy to do. It's easy to do. Developing a relationship with that yes. It's easy to hear in this context. I'm going to continue to strive to polish that blade and know when I'm slicing its shadows and know when I found some meat and it's time to eat. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Whew. Yeah. Look at the shadows of the clouds come down. Man. Whew. Oh, man. Yeah. So far, just as long as we're talking about being motivated and finding routes to motivation, I've definitely got more for you on that. Tonight, when the phone comes down and the headset comes off, probably do some weights. Time to hang out down here. And then after the weights, we got more. Should we just run the ditch? Maybe. Let's see what things are like after this guy. We take a look. We're looking okay. All right. There's the yes. Now, I've been practicing getting the yes, right? And getting the no and feeling it. When I consider these matters, these things that I want to do, and how motivated I am, or how disciplined I am to get to the place where, oh yeah, this frees me up for things that are definitely yeses down the line. So I only have to do this and that and then ba-ba-boomba. Shagooga-goonga. We're savagely beating the trail. Tonight, in that context, I'm practicing with the yeses that I've been getting and have been really enjoying, but are still, they're early yeses with a new practice that I have. It's a lucrative practice of delivering food to people. lucrative in terms of better than doing nothing. And that's what was happening. I had other work to do in other aspects of my life, and I had the money that I needed. Now it's time to deliver some food. So far, checking it against the backdrop of things as I remember them, in terms of careers that I've had, the people involved, the activities inside. So far, I'm getting a lot of yeses. Yesterday, we talked a dang lot about Alice in Wonderland, didn't we? But only one tiny little scene. My take home was, right now I prefer to be lonely, and for me to be my company, and for that to be okay, to make that the priority, over finding company in others, or innovation from others. And that is something that the doing nothing enabled me to feel into. Because there was all this baggage around, this brings you money, but you're not around the people who are going to properly synergize with your steez, with your style and your ease. They're just not. And I think I might have brought this up before too. I'm tired and I want to go home. Nope. I'm not bringing you to my pizza party if you're looking to be like that. I want you excited. And I want you to know yourself well enough to, if you're bringing that to the table, you'll know not to come. You can come next week when you feel better or have resolved the thing. Got the energy, got the sleep, had the talk. Oh yeah, this is the walk place. Let's just do it this time. Wow, look at those. Look at those clouds. Wowzer. Yeah, here's the sun up there. As far as the eye can see over there. Wow. Whew. Talk about what the hell magic. Let's walk backwards. Yeah. Believe it or not, this is a part of that knee repair that I was talking about. I trust this trail pretty good. I can sprint backwards on this trail if I want to. That's not what we're doing today. Maybe later. Oh yeah, my legs feel that. Oh yeah, they do. Wow. Oh, I got eyelashes in my eyes. Fortunately, I have a free hand.